autonomous cars, self-driving cars, you've literally been on the forefront of this for years now. Tell us a little bit about your involvement in self-driving cars and autonomous vehicles and kind of what you've been doing for the past few years along those lines.
Well, you can really only kind of connect the dots looking backwards, right? There's prospectively is, it's tough. But I ran AAJ, which is the American Association of Justice's product section, several years ago, maybe almost 10 now. And because of that, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration had reached out to one of the attorneys for the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, had reached out to me and had asked if we spotted any issues with any automobiles to please let them know so that they could do that. And that formed a relationship with an attorney there that I had. And when autonomous vehicles first kind of came on the radar screen, they weren't on mine. There's a lawyer in Dallas by the name of Lou Brown who was running AIEG, which is the Attorney Information Exchange Group, which is the equivalent of the National Association of Plaintiffs' Automotive Products Liability Lawyers. He put together a small team of folks to start going to Washington to talk with NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, about issues that potentially they weren't aware of so that we could protect consumers. And at that time, and still even today, the designers and the manufacturers of these vehicles and the component parts are asking the government for immunity for promises, right? Not even for guarantees, right? They're saying, well, if we have these autonomous vehicles, that we promise that less people are going to be injured. For this promise, we need immunity. We need to be protected.
That sounds like a terrible idea to me, but.
Oh, it is. Because the truth is that they're not less.
Yeah.
At least not by data.
But even if they weren't, I mean, just trust me, and you're going to give me complete immunity for the rest of history based on just trust me. I mean, that just sounds like an awful idea. And thankfully it violates the 7th Amendment. I mean, there's all kinds of problems with it. But that was where it really started, was that I had developed a relationship with an attorney there in the Office of Disciplinary Counsel, and started bringing to their attention autonomous vehicles. And the first time that we went to NHTSA to go talk with them about it, like it wasn't even on their radar. They weren't even thinking, because the way how the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards are written, they're written in mind that there is a human being who is a driver and then passengers. And so cars are required to have things like steering wheels. They're required to have things like brakes. They're required to have different items that contemplate that a human being is actually driving the car as opposed to the car driving itself, or the computer in the car driving. But that's kind of where it got started. And then we just started making regular trips up there to go and share with them what we had learned. And one of the big law firms that represents one of the automotive manufacturers hired that attorney away. And I remember having a conversation with him on a personal level, and he was very torn. But the reality is you've got to take care of your family first. And that was kind of the advice that I gave him. Kind of went on his own, and now go around sharing what information I've learned that's out there, because the truth really is kind of different than what the marketing or the public relations information is that's out there. They're just, they're not the same. Companies have learned is that we can say one thing, right? This car is self-driving, but that doesn't mean that it drives itself. Yeah.
Right? But all that people hear is self-driving.
Yeah.
And so they figured out, well, this markets, this sells. We can pump this out, and as long as we put a warning, well, then we're fine. Thankfully, the safety hierarchy for engineers says that that doesn't work.
Yeah.
But for selling vehicles, game on.